Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Donald, and today I'm gonna review a console that I haven't never done before, and that is to review a SNK console called the Neo Geo AES. It may not be a North American version, but at least I finally have a working console to show to you guys. I haven't done this review with this console, but I think it's time. I thought to myself, you know what, I should really review this console right now, just to impress you guys. Now anyway, as you can see, the cartridge slot is way bigger than the NES cartridge slot. And it's a top-loading console. It's got two doors. It says here, Neo Geo, and the AES stands for Advanced Entertainment System. Now, let's go into depth with this console. It's got a reset button. It's got the SNK logo on the corner. It's got a big cartridge slot. I'll show you what the cartridges look like later. Got an on and off switch. Two controller ports, a volume stereo controller for the headphone jack, and the memory card slot. Oh, and it says memory card in. I don't have a memory card for it, but I'll show you to you one day. Take a look at the back. Got the port for the AC adapter, so you probably might use a Sega Genesis power adapter, as well as a AV jack, which kind of mimics the Sega Genesis Model 1 AV jack. I'll show you that in a moment. Now to show you the game. I got this game that I got today called Riding Hero. Name may not be a fighting game, but it's actually a racing game. Because I'm about to tell you that SNK is really famous for their fighting games. And it's not Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. There's like fighting games like Fatal Fury, Arts of Fighters, all kinds of fighting titles. Now, you're wondering, why is this case this big? Well, I'll show you the reason why. Let me open this. Here's the instructions for the game. This is the reason why. This cartridge is enormous. It is one of the biggest video game cartridges I've ever seen in my life. As a matter of fact, just to give you a little history, as a kid, I never saw one of these because they were so expensive that I never knew anyone who had the console. You know, SNK did have the arcade cabinets back in the 90s, the early 90s, or in the late 80s and the early 90s. They had like 6 cartridges inside. You can switch them out. And this console is technically one of the first video game consoles to literally mimic the arcades. Oh, and as you can see, the controller ports kind of mimics that of the Atari 5200 controller ports. But enough about the 5200. And I gotta say, this console is kind of huge as well. It does almost matches the same size as the 5200. But anyway, back to the history. Now this console, SNK was a success, but they were so expensive that I never knew a person who had it. So the benefit of that could mean no bad games. There was an AVGN clip in the AVGN intro where the nerd had those games, these big heavy games, and puts it on a scale, but it never became an episode because the reason why is because James wanted to do a Neo Geo review as the nerd, but it didn't work because none of the games were bad. Like, he has yet to find a bad Neo Geo game. Most of the games are fighting games, but this one is a racing game. But anyway, enough about the game. Let's show you the controller. One thing I have to say is that the controller is like an actual arcade control with an actual arcade joystick. Makes a lot of clicking noises. Start and select A, B, C, D buttons. This is not the original controller for this console. This is actually a second-party controller for SNK's console. But it does still give you the authentic arcade experience to bring it home. People were like, wow, now you get to play an arcade at your home, but it was so expensive that I never knew a person who had it. And as you can see, the controller plug does mimic the 5200 controller's controller plug. So let's move on to the hookups. Here's the AC adapter, and it's a box-shaped AC adapter. And it has the same pin as a NES or a Sega Genesis or a Sega Master System. I don't think so. Here's the AV outs. There's an RF out for this console, but I don't have it.
Oh, dinner.
Just a minute! Sorry, that was my brother. But anyway, as you can see, this AV out jack does mimic the Sega Genesis Model 1 AV jack. But anyway, in conclusion, if you're the type of kid that likes arcade games and wants a home console, be sure to have enough money for this console, because these things are very pricey to this day. And they're so rare, too. But anyway, it's a good console, but the reason it was underrated is because of its expensive price. But anyway, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and like the video, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. This is me, signing off.